morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to our Safer with Google panel today. My name is Nadia Khan, and I am the Communications Manager at Google Malaysia, and I will be moderating the session. Since COVID-19, we've all had to form new habits, like social distancing, wearing masks, and frequently washing our hands, just to name a few. But also a large part of our lives has moved online. And parenting has been especially challenging in 2020, even up till now. Families continue to face the realities of juggling work, school, and play at home. So with online learning becoming the main mode of school for many, online safety of kids and families is really coming to the forefront as a top concern among parents. Staying safe online means to continuously protect the security and privacy of your information, but also to be equipped and empowered with digital skills to have a safer experience online. So to shed more light on this topic, I'm very honored to introduce the speakers that we have here with us today. First, Lieutenant Colonel Mustaffa, who is the Senior Vice President of the Outreach and Capability Building Division with CyberSecurity Malaysia. Colonel Mustaffa leads the division on cybersecurity awareness and education programs for children, parents, teachers, students, and organizations, as well as capacity building for professionals in Malaysia. And to top it all off, he is a father of 5. So he definitely knows what he's doing here. We also have Lucian, who is the online safety education lead with Google. He leads Google's efforts to promote digital literacy and online safety education in Asia Pacific, and is a father of 3. So welcome, gentlemen, and thank you so much for carving out time to be here with us today.
Thank you for having us here, Nadia.
Thank you, and I'm very honored to be invited as part of your effort in safety on the internet. Thank you very much, Google. Yeah.
Thank you. So before we begin with our panel discussion, we would love to hear from all of our viewers who are with us on the live stream today. We are very curious to know what some of your top concerns are when it comes to keeping your kids safe online. So to do this, please head over to slido.com and key in the code SAFERMY, that's SAFERMY, and share your thoughts with us. But while we're waiting for some of the responses to come in, I thought I'll just talk a little bit about what we'll be covering today. First of all, we'll be hearing from our speakers about the concerns around online safety for kids and families. We'll also hear about some of the efforts that cybersecurity and Google are taking to help parents. And we'll also receive practical tips from our speakers that parents can use to help kids and families have safer online experiences. Once the panel discussion is over, we will have time for questions from our viewers. So please do type any questions that you have for our speakers in the live chat. So it looks like a couple of responses are coming in. Okay. So it looks like we have things like online shopping, sexual predators, oversharing of information, and cyberbullying. These seem to be the top 4 coming in. Typically, online shopping seems to be the biggest concern now. All of a sudden, that's a huge leap. I can understand the COVID-19 situation would have many of us shopping. Meeting random people, okay. It's fair. TikTok.
Yeah. Sexual predators.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And with that, I'll actually like to open up the panel discussion. My first question will go to Colonel Mustaffa. Would you like to share any thoughts based on what we've just seen sort of listed as top concerns from our viewers today? And in your role at CyberSecurity Malaysia, what are the top concerns around keeping children safe online?
Well, Nadia, thank you very much and a very good morning. Assalamu alaikum, very good morning to everybody who are listening or who are tuning in onto this webinar this morning. So first and foremost, I would like to thank Google for having me this morning. And as you know, CyberSecurity Malaysia is an agency under the Ministry of Communication and Multimedia. So what we do is we do advise the government on on any issues people are facing on the internet and also the organization. And back to your question, Nadia, what are my thoughts? As a father of five, and amidst the current pandemic situation in Malaysia for the moment, I think parents like me, our top concern for our children include the overuse of social media and also the screen time, also internet safety, and on top of that, depression, and to a certain extent, suicide, unhealthy eating, and also lack of physical activity. So these are among the concern. And without proper parental support and guidance, the chances of children being exposed to these dangers increase. As you know, the more time you spend online, the more risk that you'll be facing. But then again, I'm not here to tell you to go away or to put off the internet. So the internet is the technology is neutral. We as parents, as netizens, as users of the platform should embrace the internet and should embrace the technology. But then again, yet this can cause tension and distress between parents and children. I've been facing that with with children. I'm lucky. The first three children are all grown up already, except for the two who are still teenagers. But then again, sometimes, as what Lucian told me before, we were discussing, I have to become real ASEAN parents. I have to be a little bit a dictator. And when again, unfortunately, the problem is aggravated because children tend to be more knowledgeable. This is the problem. They tend to be more knowledgeable and skilled in the realm of computers than their parents. So we need to look at this, and these are some of the concerns at the moment, Nadia.
Thank you, Colonel Mustaffa. So I totally understand that there's that challenge between striking a balance between the opportunities that technology offer and finding a balance and keeping our kids safe.
Yeah.
Lucian, so Google recently conducted a survey with parents across Asia Pacific, including Malaysian parents, to understand, their top concerns since COVID-19 and the shift to online learning. Could you share insights from that survey, and are some of the concerns that were shared today similar at all?
Sure, I'm happy to share. So we ran a survey with Malaysian parents, and we started off with a very simple premise, right? Because of COVID-19, most people are at home a lot more, kids are at home a lot more, and definitely internet use has gone up. So we started off with the question, are you more concerned now than before about online safety issues? So 72% of Malaysian parents said that, yes, they've an increased concern for their family safety, for their kids' safety online, right? And 40% of these parents listed three top concerns, right? First one is they were concerned about their children's safety when it comes to their children's information, whether people could hack, whether people could scam their children of information. Number two, whether their children were facing unwanted attention by strangers. So I think just now we listed down random strangers as part of the word cloud. And the third one was that their children would encounter inappropriate content online. So these were the top three concerns across APAC and also reflected in Malaysia, right? And one of the insights that came up was about a third of parents, they said that they've never spoken to their children about online safety issues. So this is something I feel maybe as parents, we need to kind of be more on the ball about, right? A lot of the times we feel that, oh, maybe we let the teachers do it or we let somebody else do it. But this is a conversation I feel every parent should have because our kids use the internet at home. It should be something we talk about regularly and kind of touch base and find out how our children are doing. So if you want to compare like Singapore, compared to Singapore, Taiwan, and Malaysia, Malaysian parents, they feel more confident that their children will come to them, when they encounter online safety issues. I've spoken to a few experts in this, and they say the parenting techniques are a bit different. So in places like Singapore, Taiwan, I think it's a bit more like achievement oriented. So children feel a bit more scared to tell their parents when something is wrong. In places like Malaysia, Philippines, I think there's a closer family bond. so the children feel okay to come to the parents and say that I found something bad online, and I know that we are okay to talk about this. So, I mean, these are the interesting findings we found in the survey.
That's very interesting. I guess, keep up the good work to like Malaysian parents, but it's also interesting to note that the top 3 concerns were really around, the safety of information, unwanted attention from strangers, and age-appropriate content, right? That would be an interesting the way to look at it. Colonel Mustaffa, we've heard from our viewers about their top concerns, but could you share what are some of the biggest cybersecurity?
Yeah, sorry, Nadia, we can't hear you.
I can't hear you, Nadia. Sorry.
Sorry, tech issues. What would a live stream be without it? Can you hear me now?
There's I think some problem with your side. Yeah. No problem. I mean,
Okay.
I think I heard your question just now. If I may say, what are some of the biggest cybersecurity threats faced by Malaysian children? Is that what you're saying across different ages? Yeah. But okay.
Different ages.
Yeah. And also the difference between issues faced by urban and rural development. Yeah, especially in Malaysia, there is also we foresee that there's also a digital gap between the rural and also the urban area. But there are also a few risks for children who use the internet or online services. They are particularly at risk because they often use the computer unsupervised, and this is a problem. And they are more likely than younger children to participate in online discussion regarding companionship, relationship, and I'm quite alarmed when we found out that there are also people who are looking into sexual activity, especially for the children. But I'm sure recently you are aware of what happened to all the sugar daddies and sugar babies in Malaysia. And luckily that we managed to bring it down. I think some of the participant or some of the members of the group can also be underage children, and we are worried about that, especially when it comes to that. So we are monitoring, we are looking into some of these websites. But anyway, some of the risks that also is happening is that exposure to inappropriate material information. One is that a child may be exposed to inappropriate material that is sexual, hateful, or violent in nature, or encourages activities that are dangerous or illegal. And then also we are looking into for physical molestation. In other words, is that while online, a child might provide information or arrange an encounter that could risk his or her safety or the safety of other family members. So in numerous cases, pedophiles may use email, bulletin boards, chat areas to gain a child confidence and then arrange a face-to-face meeting. Another aspect that we are also worried about, we're talking about harassment. A child might encounter email or chat or bulletin board messages that are harassing, demeaning, or belligerent. And we also found out from the legal and financial perspective, there's also the risk that a child could do something that has negative or legal or financial consequences, such as giving out a parent's credit card number. It happened to one parent. Suddenly, the credit card bill came in, and suddenly about 600 or 700 ringgit of online purchase. Which I mean, I think the parents also should be. Because the thing is, when they have the credit card, they have the 3 numbers behind there. I think that can also happen. And such as giving out a parent's credit card is also violates another person's right. And legal issues aside, children should be taught good etiquette, which means to avoid being rude, being mean, or inconsiderate. And another one is also we're talking about health. A child may end up spending a majority of their daily hours online. And recently in the MCMC, the Malaysian Communication Multimedia Commission's survey they have done, previously in 2020, it used to be 5 to 8 hours people are spending online. But suddenly, recently, they found out due to the pandemic, COVID-19 and MTO, now it has increased from top 5 to 12 hours. People are spending on their hours online. And last but not least, behavior. Extreme dependence on devices can lead to anti-social behavior, lock up in the room as a result, and also they are not used to all their friends. But some of it, the pandemic, also the MCO also has to be one of the reasons why people been coop up in the room, and these are the things. Sometimes reality may be not what they seems to be for some of these children. So these are the things that I think we are finding of the risk that we are facing at the moment. Yeah.
That is amazing. Thank you, Colonel Mustaffa, for sharing those amazing insights. Before we proceed, could I just do a quick check if you are able to hear me?
Yes.
Well, okay.
Better, much better.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, great. Lucian, so in your role as online safety education lead, were any of the insights particularly surprising to you?
So I wanted to comment just now when Colonel shared about children sharing credit card numbers. I remember this when I was much younger. Like we had college students when they get their first credit card, right? They're so excited. So they take a selfie. This is my credit card. I finally have financial independence.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would go online and say, wow, your credit card's so beautiful. The design chantik, huh? Then they ask you, can you show us what the back of the credit card look like? Because we want to see the design. And the back of the credit card has the 3 digits where you use the number. So they post everything. Before they know it, the credit card is gone. Everything is empty. So when it comes to the insights of the survey, we were also quite surprised. 36% of Malaysian parents said that their children have encountered scams in the last year. And this is really high. You're talking more than a third of children had scams. So whether they had their accounts hijacked, whether somebody cheated them of something, like make them cough up information, or maybe even like credit card numbers, things like that. This is a little bit higher than, I think, Singapore, 25%, Philippines, 20%, similar to Thailand, 42%, and we're seeing Thailand is 35% and Vietnam, 42%. So I think in some Asian countries, we're seeing higher rates of scam. And then the other thing that did come to mind was oversharing. So we know that children do share a lot of things online with their friends. Sometimes they share it publicly. So 53% of parents said that we feel that children overshare information. And this is similar across most of the Southeast Asian countries. So these are the insights that were surprising.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, that definitely opened my eye a little bit, especially on the stat that you shared around online scams. I think what would be really helpful now is actually to move into some ways that we can help parents out there, right, who have these concerns. But before I do that, I just want to do another prompt that if you do have questions for Colonel Mustaffa or for Lucian, please go ahead and type that into the live chat. We will have time after the discussion is over for them to answer some of your questions. So moving on to topics around what cybersecurity is doing, Colonel Mustaffa, would you like to share maybe some programs and initiatives that are in place to help parents in this digital parenting age?
Sure. As you are very aware, CyberSecurity in Malaysia, we are trying our very best to basically we have the CyberSafe program. We call it Cyber CYBERSAFE, which is Cybersecurity Awareness for Everyone, which is our initiative and our department tasked to educate and enhance the awareness of the public on the technological and social issues facing internet users, particularly on the risk when they face online. So the CyberSafe program is established to give exposure about the awareness of cybersecurity and give the best practice for the use of ICT, including guidelines of using the internet safely and positively. Some of the benefits from CyberSafe program, that is, we disseminate information and understand the importance of cybersecurity, and we deliver the message on current cybersecurity issues, and we share best practices and ethics of using computer and internet safely towards public, especially with identified target groups. The increase in the number of requesting the Cybersecurity Malaysia holds cybersecurity awareness talks around Malaysia every year. So we call it CSAT, or Cybersecurity Awareness Talk. And last but not least, the demand for developing activities program that need to increase the understanding of the various sectors of cybersecurity. And part of it, what we are doing, if you remember this year, we are thankful that Cybersecurity Malaysia has been together with the Safer Internet Day celebration. I think Google's one of them, and Malaysia Cybersecurity has been the international committee for Malaysia. And this year, what we did was, in fact, it's still ongoing. It's still the month of February. We are still celebrating. In fact, somebody commented when I put on my LinkedIn saying that today is cybersecurity, safer internet day. No, it is not. It's not today. It's 24/7, 365 days that you should be always thinking about safer internet, being safe in on the internet. So, by the way, so this year we choose the for Malaysia, for Malaysian edition, we choose etika. In Malay, etika means ethics. So we're trying to do trying to get netizens, everybody. First and foremost, you need to do self-regulate. You have to self-regulate. We have all the act in the parliamentary act. We have all the regulation. But then again, the first and foremost, the most important thing that you need to have your own self-regulate, or in Malay we call it kawal kendiri. So it's just like the COVID-19. Kita jaga kita hashtag that we need to take care of ourselves, to take care before we go online. So these are the things that we are doing, and hoping. But then again, we can't do it alone, Nadia. Thank you very much, Google, for having this. And we need more people. We need more organizations, especially the telcos who are providing the internet to the public. They should be doing more. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Colonel. Yeah, so I'm sure this is a tough topic, and it takes an entire ecosystem to make it work, starting from the individual, all the way to the masses. So Lucian, it's very clear that technology presents, new challenges for parents, right? Especially now with kids going online, not only to learn, but to listen to music, to play games, or even just to video chat and socialize with friends. Could you share a few tips that could help parents protect, the safety of their child's information, keep away from unwanted attention online, and how to consume age-appropriate content?
Sure. I mean, one of the tips we always start off with is how do you protect your online account? And it always begins with the passwords you use, whether you can know how to create strong passwords. And I think the bigger advice is not to reuse passwords, because when you reuse passwords, all you need is one account somewhere to be compromised, and then all your accounts are compromised. I think for us, us older people, I suppose, when we feel that an account is lost, we just create a new one, no big deal. For the younger people, this is like their online identity. It's almost like their life. And a lot of cyberbullying we're seeing comes from compromised account. Like they shared it with their friend took over the account, and then it became a case of cyberbullying. And so we're telling them, you need to guard your account, you need to keep it safe, right? The second one, unwanted attention from strangers. This is one big fear as a parent that I think every parent has this fear, like your child will be kind of speaking to people that they don't know, and we don't know what they're teaching them. So one thing is to talk to your children about what types of conversations are acceptable and what types of conversations are not, right? That's one. So whenever they face a conversation that is not acceptable, they come to you and say, I just saw this that you said wasn't right. And they can warn us so that we can step in as parents. The second one is that, again, back to the strong relationships, so that they are comfortable coming to us, right? If every time our children come to us and we scold them or we take away the internet because there's something wrong happened, they will stop coming to us. So as parents, sometimes we need to relax a little bit, right? Don't react so quickly. Like if you want to scream, you wait a while. When the children back in the room, you go to your pillow and then you scream. I think we do that in the privacy of our own room. And then we come back and we're like, don't worry, everything's okay. We're here to help you learn how to use it well. And then, of course, whenever they play a new game or they download a new app, make sure that you check to see if the chat functions are there. Whether a new game has chat functions that allow them to speak to strangers. Now, regarding seeing inappropriate content, right? This is something that I think every family has different tolerances. Like inappropriate is different for different families, but every family has this fear that our children encounter things they're not supposed to see. So when they're very young, right, it's good to set family rules that we all agree that some things are not allowed. And then for parents with kids that have their own devices, you can use tools like Google Family Link. When they watch YouTube, download YouTube Kids. So don't use the full one, use the kid-friendly version, because the parental tools there are a lot more complete. So we've offered the ability to set the amount of screen time the child can have. You can turn off access to certain apps so that your child doesn't kind of have full access to all the apps. You can even turn off access to the browser so that they can only use certain games they can play, but they're not allowed to surf the whole web, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right. And for older kids, we talk about Google Safe Search, and YouTube restricted mode, things like that. Last tip is this is a very familiar one for all of us. Always encourage your children to use digital devices in the open. So in the living room, set up the computer there. Don't bring it to the bedroom. And one of the things which I've spoken to many psychologists about is there's this thing called psychological presence, that when they use it in an open space, they feel like there's certain behavior that's allowed, certain behavior is not allowed. So even if there's nobody at home, when they use it in the living room, the behavior of the child is a bit different. Yeah, so these are the tips I have for the parents watching today.
Thank you. Super helpful tips around just, protecting information, knowing who they talk to, and age-appropriate content. Colonel Mustaffa, how about from cybersecurity's point of view? Do you have any advice around the practical steps that parents can take to encourage their children to really develop their own internal radar? You know how you were speaking a little bit about, ethics, right? So how can they develop that in their children to kind of detect and stay away from these threats online?
Yeah, I mean, well, Nadia, all these things are easy said than done. But anyway, what we would like to advise parents, encourage their children to develop their own, what you were saying, internal radar for detecting. So what we can do, mentor their presence online. So while we would prefer providing kids online discreetly, a better idea would be to mentor and tell them build their presence online. And basically, once we're doing that, and also with that, we have trust in them and they have trust in us. And the other one is we should set ground rules, which I've said to my teenage son, yep, the internet will only be up until 1 a.m. in the morning. So most of them, so what we can do, set the ground rules. On time limits, allow social media platforms, websites, handling inappropriate behavior online, and encourage kids to follow them proactively. Stick to the rules. Though you may make some allowance like personal phone or longer internet hours, but then again, when it's time for it, they have to adhere to the ground rules. And also, we would like to tell the parents so that they can instill responsibility. Let kids know that if they behave responsibly, then they stand more to get more leeway later, and else they lose their internet privileges. And also, become a friend and a guide. Help kids treat their online persona with care. Let children know that you are watching, but that you are watching, but you are not stalking. And that's the most important. There are two things that is very important. And for them, they will accordingly modify their online behavior. What Lucian was said just now, the psychological thing when they put in the public. I think it still works until today. Discuss malware, scams, spam, email and videos and their effect. I know in Malaysia, the secondary school children almost in our survey, almost 86 to 87% own smartphone. And I like the one in the advertisement in the public service announcement on the TV. Your phone is smart, but are you smart? That's the most important thing that we need to know. Discuss malware, scams, as I said just now. Drill down the concept for too much information. Make your children aware of oversharing and its effect. As what you said just now. And this tendency, because basically young children especially, they are so naive, they are so innocent, and that's why when you have some, in the house, when you have children, you have somebody doing something wrong, you ask the other children, he'll definitely say everything. He'll spill out all the beans. So this is happening. It's still the same. So make sure that they do not overshare and its effect. Educate kids about stranger danger. Again, in the physical world, we always remind them stranger danger, stranger danger. But now, I think in a survey before, I think about 3 or 4 children out of 10 are also exposed to this. But strangers are asking them to see them physically. So this is also very dangerous. And even more, it's happening on the internet. It's much more easier than last time we used the phone and so on and so forth. And teach kids to use good judgment. Correct. If we teach them how to think critically about the time they're spending and the things they're doing online, then even when we are not around, they'll be able to make healthy and good decisions. And also, I would also like to tell them, try the 25 25/10 rule, 25/10 with screen time for kids. Balance out 25 minutes of productivity with 10 for fun. So not always so. So we could see kids that they are more productive overall. And last but not least, keep technology out in the open, as what Lucian was said. Parents absolutely need to keep technology out of the children's room, especially if they are not home to supervise and see what the children are doing. If parents can limit the amount of time that children have online, they will also be more constructive in terms of working on schoolwork. And also, one thing I will also trying to remind people: um, please be a good example. You tell your children not to, use the phone at the table, the dining table, but you yourself will be the first one. Do not be the first one when you wake up in the morning. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? So you are the best example, and what you do, the children will follow you. That's all, Nadia. Yeah.
Thank you, Colonel. Yeah, I suppose lead by example is a good way to deal with this. I'd like to ask one more question, and this is actually addressed to both of you. And we'll do this just before we open up the questions from the audience.
Sure.
So this is actually around, media literacy, right? And I think, Colonel, this goes back to your point about, when you're not physically there and when you're not around, right? How can parents really help their children with the ability to sort of think very critically about the information they consume, right? So knowing what's misinformation and whether or not they should be unknowingly spreading or consuming false information. I think that's something that's also very, very key during this time. So would love to hear from both of you about some of your thoughts.
Sure. I mean, digital literacy, pardon me, digital literacy is something that I feel everybody needs to learn. It's not just a young person thing. I mean, we've noticed that the most sharing of misinformation actually doesn't happen with the young people, but maybe the older ages and the adults, right? But it's something all of us need to learn. So we need to learn how to communicate responsibly. We need to learn to check the sources before we share all these things. So at Google, we've made free resources. So if you go Google Be Internet Awesome, you find the resources we have for parents, for teachers, and for kids to learn, like, how do you double check things? Where do you go to do a reverse image search? So you can see a picture. You're not sure if the picture is the photo taken now, or was it like 2 years ago and somebody's pretending that it's now, right? So it's good to be able to do these things. So all the resources are at Be Internet Awesome. We even have a game called Interland that children can play, because we realize that children probably don't like to watch videos that teaching them what to do. They don't like to read like long text. So we created a game for them to play called Interland. So it's also at the Be Internet Awesome website. They will play and learn more about online safety.
Awesome. Thank you. Colonel, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, remember last year in the Safer Internet Day celebration, we did talk about, as we said, digital literacy, but one of the element of digital citizenship is digital fluency. Under digital fluency, I encourage children, adults, and everybody to be not only know what you have on the, but you are fluent. Fluent is a little bit more than literate. Meaning it's just like the analogy, like you are using a bicycle. If you are literate, you know how to ride a bicycle. If you are a good digital citizenship, you can enjoy the riding the bicycle. But then again, if you are digital fluent, you are not only know how to ride the bicycle, you enjoy riding the bicycle, and you are contagious. You are also getting people to like riding the bicycle. It's just like that. So you are making other people to be, because the thing is, they said you need to be your good things need to be contagious. You need to spread the word around, because I've seen some people. I mean, some incident where I think one of the story in the internet, a young girl who is a bit chubby and trying to sell her prom dress, and everybody kutuk. I mean, they're saying bad things about her. But suddenly, when someone start doing something, saying things nice, it suddenly changed the whole environment. It suddenly changed the whole thing. People start saying, and you feel out of awkward when you said something bad. So that's why we are trying to get these people to be fluent and also to be contagious the good things on the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my key takeaway from this is really everyone has that power within themselves to be very responsible and meaningful and thoughtful of the sort of thing that they put out there when they're online and how they converse with their other peers online. I'm also learning a lot that, you know, this is going to be a top of mind concern for us for many years to come. I mean, it doesn't just end here at Safer Internet Month. So it's really going to take, you know, all of this, especially parents, the time to have those discussions around online safety, leveraging on like the free resources and tools that are available, and really just teaching them how to be very extra cautious, I guess, with very private information. So thank you for sharing all of that during our panel. I would love to kind of move along to a question that we actually have from one of our viewers. And this is for actually both of our speakers today. What are some of the steps to ensure children are protected during their online learning, since there are websites or sources that have educational content, but they might not necessarily be educational sites?
Sure, happy to take a first stab at this. So, I mean, all our children have kind of moved online and they learn and they ask like, oh, I need to access certain websites because that's what the teacher is using, right? So all of a sudden you have to use the computer. We give them their own device. They start doing all these things. One thing we can do is, so again, if you download Google Family Link and you use it, you're able to monitor the amount of screen time they use, right? But the other thing is you can kind of allow what websites they can go to. So this is really useful because you can say that I allow you to go to the school website, the educational resource website, but you're not allowed to go to other websites. So I think for a parent, this is really powerful tool that we can use. No, but of course you discuss with your child why you're doing this. You're doing this because you care for them, because there's content out there that may not be suitable for their age, you know, and then you allow more educational resources so that at least they have a full online learning experience.
Yep. Colonel, would you have anything to add?
I mean, I'm all for it. Well, basically, but one thing that I would like to, because at the moment, this online learning continues. Again, that I would like to remind parents to the importance to maintain a balance between screen time and activities. I know they have to be they have to be learning in school, but again, as I said before, please ensure that 25-10. After 25 minutes of doing something, please do something else 10 minutes. We don't want to have children, because right now we do have some survey in terms of the health effect, where children with age of 7 and 8 at the moment in Malaysia, all of them have bad eyesight. This is due to the and of course not only the eyesight, they also have very bad handwriting. Not like us last time when we were in school, we had to do because I think they always swoosh on the screen. So again, teach our children that they are to be again what we important is balancing that time. And I think I agree with Lucian. Some of the things that the online learning at the moment, there are so many of them. Stick to the one that is according to in Malaysia. I think the KBSM, the curriculum bersatu the curriculum, the official curriculum at the moment. Yeah, Nadia. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So Cikgu Kamil, I believe that was the person who has submitted the question. I hope you know, you have your answer. I think from Lucian, it would be, you know, to really monitor activity with tools like Family Link, and Colonel Mustaffa has encouraged to have a balance between, you know, learning online and learning offline and having some physical activity. We have one more question, and this is from Fadli Saad, and I believe it's directed to Lucian. I'm using Family Link to manage my kids' devices, but sometimes they manage to overwrite the timer that I've already set. Any thoughts on this? Like any tips? Yeah.
So, I mean, if I take you back maybe, 20, 30 years when we were young, right? Our parents used to be like, you watch too much TV, I'm going to unplug the antenna so that you don't get TV, right? And then for us, we found some way around it. We'll take clothes hangers and we'll kind of jam it in there, and then we'll move it around, and you get the channels you want. So children today are the same. It hasn't changed. We find ways around the rules, so it's nothing new. So Google is continually kind of working at making the tools better and more robust. But at the same time, you can always expect kids to find some way around it. The key is what I did for my children who found ways around my rules as well, was I told them that, hey, when you find something like that, let me know, so at least we can tell the engineers to make it better. So they felt like they were participating in making the tool better. But at the same time, I mean, they understand that we're not putting rules just to make their life hard. We're putting rules to protect them, right? So there's a two-way conversation that needs to be had, so they don't keep running away, but they find that they're contributing to kind of the larger community by reporting these bugs in the software.
Absolutely. I love that. I love getting them involved. And, I mean, it makes so much sense because we're creating these products to help protect them, and who more to help us with that than the kids themselves. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lucian. And to Fadli Saad, we hope that we answered your question. So actually, that does bring us to the end of our session. But before we close, we would love to hear from our viewers one more time on a Slido poll. So we do have a quick poll. If you would just head over to slido.com and let us know which tips or what did you hear about today that you found most helpful and that you are most likely to use in your day-to-day. So feel free to head over to slido.com, key in the code SAFERMY, and let us know. Meanwhile, I'll just also like to share that if you would like to have more information, you can head over to the Google Safety Center, which is safety.google. And you can also head over to CyberSecurity's CyberSafe website. You could also follow Google Malaysia and CyberSafe Malaysia on Twitter. I'm sure there'll be plenty of updates coming up from there. So feel free to go in and follow those two channels. So it looks like, based on the quick poll, I mean, this is just based on 6 people so far, but it looks like knowing the tools to ensure their child has access to age-appropriate content is very helpful. So family link and the likes, and having a few tips and tricks to guide my child on how to stay safe online. And I think that's a very great summary of actually what we've taken away from today from both Lucian and Colonel Mustaffa. So with that, I would like to just say a very huge and generous thank you to Lucian and Colonel Mustaffa. Honestly, I'm a new mom. I have a 7-month-old boy, so he has plenty of years to come before he goes online. But I do feel like I am a little more equipped for that moment when it happens. So thank you to everyone for joining us, and stay safe and take care.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.